food systems have tons of moving parts. If we think about all the things that go into making a food system run, we have a vast interconnected network of processes and infrastructure that allow that to work. If we think about cultivation, for example, we have access to seeds, we have the pest control, we have fertility management. All of those require various infrastructure. If we think about storage and processing, there regardless of the size of the food system, we're putting energy into the food, whether we're cooking and canning it, or refrigerating it, or freezing it, and moving it around to various places. If we think about distribution and access to food, we have a similar situation, and we require a functional transportation network that is driven by fossil fuels and other types of systems that are either resilient or not. Depending on how connected these various systems are, depending on the types of connections that they have, these can either be resilient, as John O'Niger mentioned, or fragile. What is resilience? If you think about a birch tree in the wintertime, snow falls, the birch tree collects snow, it bends over, and it doesn't break. Some trees might, like an oak would break in that same situation, as a lot of people saw during this last disturbance. That birch's ability to absorb disturbance, or absorb change, and still maintain its integral functions is essential to be modeling in our various systems. Whether that's in a food system, for our ecosystem services, the energy system, our transportation system, as well as our community and commerce. All of these are our critical life support systems to make our communities run. So, there's been a lot of work done on food security, food resilience, and developing food systems in the last 5 years. It's just blowing up. There's energy for it all over the place. Last spring, I had the opportunity to work with Reed Bertone Johnson in the Landscape Studies Department at Smith College to take that same type of thinking to all of these critical life support systems that support our modern life and community. We worked with a group of 10 students and the community very closely, going out into the community, asking them, what do you need, what do you want, what's working here, and then studying it at a broad scale. That was phase one. During that phase, we conducted both specific assessments as well as these general community interviews to understand what the community needed. And we found some really interesting things. For example, there's a lot of interest in creating a local food system. But when we looked at the arable land that existed in Northampton during this portion of the study and the population of Northampton, what we found was even with the most intensified system of agriculture, we could only provide about 1/6 of the caloric needs of the population of Northampton. So, with that sort of understanding, we asked our students to take it to the next level. We asked them to create a master plan integrating these different things that we discovered for food, ecosystem, transportation, energy, community, and commerce, and weave them together, finding ways to address the weak points in the system with creative solutions that would help us to create a more resilient, a more adaptable system in that community. So they came up with various master plans, and after that, they looked at site-specific prototypes for design. So the idea there was to be able to go back to the community and say, okay, we've created these master plans that suggest that you do things like create more agricultural preservation, you protect more open space, you do things with your zoning to allow mixed-use development in your community. And then we went to a specific site and created projects that would embody the sort of best of the best management practices we could think of, integrating permaculture and resilience thinking into these systems. And out of these, we had some pretty radical solutions emerge. One student took a block as his study and tore down all the fences, tore down the boundaries, and created an integrated eco-village in this sort of medium density neighborhood of Northampton. Another student took a defunct hotel and turned it into a construction materials recycling depot that would employ people who needed job training or who might be recovering from addiction of some sort. So in that way they were linking together these economic needs of the community with the environmental requirements, as well as the need for increased commerce, increased community connection. But in looking, what was really interesting in thinking about this project was we saw that while these small radical transitions of individual spaces did a lot to bring together community, they inspired people and gave them hope, and they built connections between the community, we also saw that there was a need for broader scale change. When we look at the fact that Northampton can only support 1/6 of this population on its arable land, it becomes clear that we need to develop not just a local food system or a local energy system, but a regional and national alternative strategy to the way we're dealing with things. And we realized that that could be done at both the local level and at the broader level. And some of the recommendations that came out of the class were to get out into the garden, get out into your neighborhood, and create small projects, but also to get out into your community and populate the community committees that exist, and get out there and call your congressman and act on the policy level as well as on the site-specific level. So thank you very much.